Hi guys, this video is going to be a little bit different and there'll probably be a few videos like this that come through. The goal of this is to document the process of going for my experienced teacher. Now in the independent system that I work in, there's three bands of teachers, or three levels that teachers can be teaching at. There's band 1, which is a graduate teacher, band 2, which is a proficient teacher, and band 3, which is an experienced teacher. Now this is my understanding is that this is similar to the state system where you go for either a highly accomplished teacher or lead teacher. And I know these are slightly different, but I'm not entirely sure exactly how those systems work. And for those ones, you're looking at NESA, the Education Standards Authority. For this experienced teacher being an independent thing, this is ISTAA. ISTAA being the Independent Schools Teacher Accreditation Authority. So I thought I'd just make a few videos going through the process of doing this. Now I've just started this process. The first thing I did was a course. So basically there's two ways of doing this process going for experienced teacher. There's a standards pathway and an action research pathway. Now in the standards pathway, it works very similar to the proficient teacher process, that for each one of the standards that come out of ISTAA, you need to provide evidence to show that you're doing that in the classroom. So select, implement and evaluate teaching strategies that incorporate content knowledge of the teaching area. So then you have to, for that standard, there's a descriptor, and then you have to show that you have done that descriptor by pulling something that you use in class out and annotating it, whether it's a program or a lesson plan or whatever, any sort of evidence that you have. And you need to do this for every single one of the standards. And there's about 42 from memory. I may have made that number up. But that's the standards-based pathway. Now the other pathway is the action research pathway, and this is the pathway that I've chosen. And this involves doing an action research project, so actually setting up some sort of test and writing a report that goes about your teaching. And this also needs to address these standards. So the important thing here is it's not just action research, it's action research as a method for showing that you've reached these standards. Now I've just completed a course, the professional support module for the experienced teachers in the action research pathway, which is riveting stuff. But basically how it works is that of those different standards, you need to pick 18. So there's 10 mandatory ones that you do, including this standard 8, which is an ISTAA made up thing that's specifically for action research, and all the other standards. So there's some that are mandatory that you have to do, and others you can choose to do 18 of those. Now the big thing here is that when you're showing that you have achieved those standards, the evidence for those standards have to have come out of your action research project. So you can't use evidence of feedback, for example, from another class that you didn't do the action research project on. So it all has to come from within that project. Which means that project has to be designed to start off with so that it can meet the standards. And I'll do another video about the project, or where my project's at and what I'm thinking. And the other part of this action research pathway is that you need to do a literature review. So this is reading about 25 different articles that are related to your action research project and putting together a 2,000 word report based on that. So there's less descriptors that you need to actually provide evidence for, but there's more work involved in it. And it's one of those things that every time I've spoken to somebody, they've said, oh, why are you doing that? Why can't you just do the standards and tick the boxes? You realize it's much easier. And from looking at it, I can see that it's much easier. I thought it'd be maybe half as much work again to do the action research. At this stage, I'm thinking, from looking at how easy it is to tick boxes, I'm thinking it might be maybe twice as much work, maybe a bit more than twice as much work. We'll see how we go. The reason I'm doing it this way is because I think that I'll actually learn something from this process. So rather than ticking boxes, which would absolutely infuriate me and frustrate me, in the same way that doing my proficient teacher report really frustrated me, because you don't learn anything. It's just a ticking box, providing evidence and putting together paperwork for the sake of paperwork. This, I think, is a really good program because you're actually doing some research in the classroom, and from there you actually get a platform to speak to other teachers and present your research, so that you're informing that sort of teaching body as a whole and contributing to the body of knowledge that we have as teachers, which I think is fairly cool. I won't go too more on about all this stuff, but yeah, I'm planning on putting a few videos together just documenting this process. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace out.